So today we're going to talk about how to learn more about your association members. And we got this question so many times from our audience that we thought we should create a video on this. And if you don't know me, I'm Farhad Khan. I am the CEO of Member Lounge. And we build membership websites for professional associations. And we have an app called Member Lounge, which is one of the quickest ways for you to build an engaging membership website for your membership. Now, we receive thousands and thousands of questions from our audience overall, and we have a bank of so many questions, and we want to make sure that we address this very important question: how to survey your association members better, so that you can provide a more meaningful and better service for your members. Now, before talking about this, though, I think I want to make sure that we understand why do we survey. What is the goal of a survey, and if you're doing a survey, what is the best possible outcome you can get from a survey. And is survey the best way of learning more about your members, or are there other creative ways? So first of all, I want to quickly talk about why do we survey, and what should be the goal of a survey. The goal of a survey can be a number of different things, but the most important thing for a survey is that you want to learn more about your members' behaviors, their needs, and make sure that you're getting truthful information from your members, right? So not just what you want to hear, but you want to hear the hard facts. So you want to hear things that make you uncomfortable. If you're doing a bad job, then you want to hear more about that from your members. If there are things missing in your membership, if there are things missing all over in the association, you want to hear about them from your members, right? So we want to make sure that the surveys are meaningful enough that we learn from your members well. Now, so survey is definitely one of the most important things you can do to learn more about your members. But before getting to the survey, I think there's a lot of preparation that you have to do to make sure that the survey you're going to do will be meaningful. So that's why, so the surveys will not happen frequently. So I think an association will probably have the budget and the means to survey their members once a year. Right? If you are very active, if you're a large organization, you'll probably do it twice, but I haven't seen people doing surveys more than twice a year in general, because it costs time and money overall. So I think we will set aside surveys for them to happen once or twice a year, no more than that. But what do you do for the rest of the year? So the rest of the year, you need to continue to learn from your members. We cannot wait till the big survey happens and then take an action and then do something about it. That's too late. You need to be able to take action on things that you hear from members, in the moment and more frequently, maybe every month. So, and these are some of the tricks that we will tell you that will actually help you make improvements during the entire year. And then at the end of the year, when you launch that big survey, that survey is better informed, and that is more effective for your members and for your association overall. So the number one technique I'll talk about three main techniques that you can actually apply. The number one technique is that you need to make sure you do some one-on-one interviews with your members, and there's no getting away from that. You have to do some one-on-one interviews with your members, and it has to be a continuous process. So every month, if you can interview one member, I think that is a great place to start. And interviewing one member every month is not difficult at all. I think this is very doable for any association, whatever size you are at, right? But if you can do that, in the year, you would have done 12 one-on-one interviews, which is very, very powerful. So what do you do in those one-on-one interviews? It can be a 30-minute interview, can be a 1 hour interview, depending on how much time you have. But bare minimum, I would recommend do a 30-minute interview at least. So 30 minutes is a very good time to for you to learn more about your membership. So what you want to do in those 30-minute interviews is that you want to ask the member, are you happy with the service that you're getting from our association right now, and what more can we do, right? Ask them what are some benefits, what are some services that you have used in the past couple of months, and ask them open-ended questions in these interviews, right? So open-ended questions so tell us how we can help you better, right? And then try to learn more about their profession, learn more about their job. What are some challenges that they have in their job day to day? So ask them the open-ended questions, so their pain points, their challenges, so to create services around that. And then also ask them about some of the services that you think are going well, right? So tell them, hey, we have this great service, can you tell us more about them? How is it going for you? Do you like it overall? Do you actually know how to get them? Do you know how to use them? Do you know how to find more about our services? So ask open-ended questions like that. And the moment you find there are things that are piquing your interest, you want to double down on those, right? So ask more deep questions, ask why, ask how, right? So if they say that oh, I found that particular resource useful, ask them why did you find it useful? then ask them, how do you use that resource? Learn more about like how your members are using your resources so you can improve the service overall. So these one-on-one questions are actually very powerful. So if you can do one-on-one interviews with your members, it will be very, very powerful, like for you to learn more about your membership. Now, if you're looking for more like tactics and like an actual question list that you can ask in the one-on-one interviews with your members, we do have like these questions for our workshop. So I'm going to provide a link to our workshop questions so you can download and you can use them in your one-on-one interviews. Okay, so that was number one. Idea number one is doing one-on-one interviews with your members and like asking open-ended questions and like going deep in the interview so you can have a dialogue with a member one-on-one and learn more about their pain points. Okay. Now, I'll talk about the next idea. So idea number two is asking questions in the moment in your events. And this is very, very important. And like you can do it in a number of different ways. So if you're actually holding online meetings, like online webinars, like online like Zoom sessions or like any other like meetings, then the online Zoom sessions are actually a very powerful way to ask questions like to your members. So say like you are having a webinar and then like there's like a 2-minute, 3-minute like wait time when people are coming, people that are like event is warming up, and you have a bit of like a gap there, right? So that is the perfect time to launch an online poll. So if you create a very simple online poll during that time, then like that's a great way to kind of like get some good feedback, good responses from your members. Like they are there with you, they're excited for the webinar, they're waiting for it, then they're looking for things to do while they're waiting. A poll is a great thing that you can do, right? So you can warm up the event, with the poll, but make sure that the poll is not too long though. So you need to make sure that the poll is like no more than 1 to 2 minutes long. Otherwise, like you don't want to like piss off your members who are there for the webinar. They're not there for the poll, they're there for the webinar. So you want to like get through the poll very quickly and get to the webinar. So you'll create like a short online poll and make the poll within Zoom, like don't like let them go to another site or anywhere else. Whatever webinar tool that you're using right now, use the poll feature within that tool. So in that tool, you're going to like launch the poll, and then when you launch the poll, like people may not be excited to kind of like take the poll, so you have to give them some nudges. So you have to tell them, hey, I see that like 20 people have taken the poll, like we have another 30 to go, so please like take a minute to do the poll, and these polls will help us improve our content for you, this will help us improve our services for you. So this is your way to give us feedback so we can improve things overall for you. So you have to like give people some nudges to make sure that they're taking the poll as well. Otherwise, like the poll will be wasted. Like people like launching the poll is not enough. You have to give some nudges, like for them to take the poll. And the poll participation will never be 100%. It will probably be 80%, 90%. And if you get to 80, 90%, I think that's enough, right? So don't wait any longer. So like close the poll and then get to the webinar. Okay, now in the moment while you are in the webinar, so you can ask more questions. So if you have some burning questions, you can ask those questions like during some breaks that you have like in the webinar. You can ask them at the beginning, like you did the poll and then like you want to warm people up, then ask an open-ended question, like say that like, hey, we have this service, like what do you think about the service? Or hey, we want to learn more about like your challenges at your like profession overall for membership. Can you post your like top 3 challenges with your profession right now, right? And your members will kind of like want to answer them on like chat, and make sure that like once you post that question, you give them a bit of space, like a 1 minute time, 2 minute time for them to type up and submit the questions for you. So when you send that question, there needs to be like a 1 minute awkward silence, and having a 1 minute awkward silence in the middle of a webinar can be really awkward. I have done that many times and it is really awkward, right? But you have to have that awkward silence after you submit that question so your members can think and they can kind of like take some time to type up the responses for you. So have that silence, and then the moment you see you have gotten like 10, 20 or like whatever number of like questions, like, and then like you can like move on to the next like topic that you're talking about in the webinar. But like asking the question on the Zoom webinar is extremely powerful. You will find things that are so good for you, right? So in our webinars, we typically ask like two, 3 or like 4 different like questions overall, right? So and we actually get a lot of like meaningful answers overall, like from all the chats, like all the chat questions that we submit. I'm just checking to see if we have any online questions from anyone. Okay, not yet. Okay. So this was idea number two. So it's like to do an online poll like in the event, and then also like ask some questions like on the Zoom chat. Now, if you are hosting an event like in person, so the in-person event is a great way to kind of like host kind of like collect more information about your members as well. So if you have an in-person like event, like you need to be sharing poll or something to all your attendees while they're there, and like have them submit the like poll while they're at the event, while they're in the moment, because they're there right now. They have nothing else to do, like before they get distracted, and before they forget about all the good feedback that they have. Get them to complete the quick poll that you have. Again, like don't make the poll a 20-page long poll while they're at the event. You want it like you want to make it like a very short, maybe like a no more than 4 or 5 like questions like poll, right? Something that people can take very easily. Or if you have like if you can have like polls for individual sessions, that hey, you know what, like we just had this session, please like answer these 3 questions, and then like to tell us more about like what did you like about this session. So individual session specific questions are very good. Or if you want to do like an overall like poll in the middle of the like event, in-person event, that's great as well. Okay. Now so these are some ways. This is idea number two, to collect like more information about your members and learn more about your members to improve your services overall. The third idea, and like this is if you are not doing it right now, I think this will blow your mind, right? If and this has blown our mind when we did it at the very beginning. Whenever you're registering people for your events, right? So idea number three is like on the registration form for your events. So when people are registering at an online webinar, or when they're like registering for your like overall like in-person event, have a question there. Please tell us a question you have, like on this topic, or please tell us like something you want to learn from our association, and make it a required field, right? Anyone who's trying to register for the webinar, they will have to submit that question. Anyone trying to register for the in-person event, they have to submit that question. Make it a required field. Like this is how you generate more engagement as well, right? So when they submit that question, you will actually, if 100 people register for the webinar, you have 100 meaningful questions from your audience. Can you imagine? Even without doing a poll, without doing a survey, you just introduced a one question field, and then you have 100 potential questions that you can work on in the future, or 100 like ways to like learn more about 100 things that you learn more about your members right now. All of our online webinars have had that one question line for the last 2 to 3 years, and we have thousands and thousands of questions from our members, from our audience, and we know so much about our audience. Oh my god, you have no idea. So this topic that I'm talking about today, how to survey our members, actually came from those submissions. We have gotten these submissions so many times. Like, what are some creative ways to learn more about your members, that we thought it's important. We have gotten this question enough times that we should create a topic about this. We should create a whole video about this. So yeah, so and when you actually like have that field on the online sign up form, that like tell us a question that you have on this topic, over time, like you have to gather them and bring them into like one Excel file, right? One Excel file or whatever, however you want to like store them. But I think a simple Excel file, online Excel, we use Google Sheets for that. One simple Excel file is very, very powerful, that we have all the questions in one place, and then we group them together, right? And then now on that like one file that we have thousands of questions that is difficult for us to kind of like parse through the questions, and we need to like take a meaningful action on them. So we are working on that question bank right now, and I'll tell you how we use that. We use it in a number of different ways. We use that question to inform our future webinar topics, right? And then on a future webinar, when like say we know the topic, and then like for the webinar topic, like what headline should we use, and we have like options for 3-4 different headlines. Then what language will resonate the most with our audience, so we can like make the webinar headline more catchy, right? Then we resort back to that question bank, like what are the words people using to ask that question. And if we see a certain word is being used more and more, then I know that our audience like understands this word better than something else. So if we use that word, it'll connect better with our audience. And we have used that so many times. So if you had a choice of words, should I use this word versus that word on the webinar headline? We look at our question bank and see what do our audience say, what does the data say, right? And we can easily find an answer there. So I think these are the like top 3 ways, like that you can learn more about your members, like without being too invasive and like being in the moment. Now, once you have actually like had like this all this data, what you should be doing is that like you should actually have like a very good understanding of your members overall. So what you have done so far is qualitative research, qualitative open-ended research to understand like what are people thinking, like what are the challenges, what are their pain points, right? You want to use all this information for the annual survey that you're going to launch. The annual survey that you are launching, like it shouldn't be something that you just made up, like thinking about what are some good questions to ask. Your annual survey should be informed by the data you have collected during the year. So if you inform your survey with all these questions that you have collected during the year, can you imagine how much more powerful and more impactful your annual survey will be? Like I think this will blow your mind if you put this in action. Like if you can do all these three ideas and then you use the three ideas to inform your annual survey, and like after, like it will get, like it will blow your mind, like the quality of survey results that you will get like at the end of the year. And once you have done all like these three things, even if you don't do the annual survey, you know so much more about your members, that like you're much more confident in launching any new initiative or service that you have. So these were the top three ideas that I had, like to learn more about your members in a meaningful way so you can deliver better service to your members. Um, if you have any question from this live stream, like please like submit them on the chat on YouTube and I'll be happy to take the question. And like if you have like anything that you like, the one thing that you learned, please type a comment on the chat as well, like so I know that you got some value from it. And again, like which idea here, like from this session was the most important for you? Like what is the one thing you will take action on, or what is your biggest takeaway? Please type on the comments, and so I can like follow up with you later on as well. Alrighty then. So with that, I think we will wrap up for today, unless we have any more questions. I see some people on the audience list. Can you like type some questions, please, if you have any question right now before we wrap up? Alali, do you have a question you want to post? Okay, I guess we're good then. We're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, like just to wrap up, like the three ideas that I shared today to learn more about your members, like number one idea like was to make sure that you do one-on-one interviews with your members. Number two, you ask like in the moment questions, like launch a poll in a webinar, like do like ask people on the Zoom chat, like what are their bigger challenges, or like how you can improve your services, or do some quick polls like in the moment at an event, like if you're there. And the number three idea was that you need to have like a question field, like please tell us like a question you have on this topic on your event registration page. And with all these ideas, you will get like you'll get to know so much about your members, like that, like you can really improve your member services and benefits overall. Already. So I think that's it for now. We will wrap up for today, and we wish you all the best with your membership journey. I will see you on our next event. Bye for now.